What's up, guys? It's Kool-Aid, and welcome to the second installment of Attack of the Stats, the series where you guys pick what you want me to use, and I do what I can do to try and see what kind of stats I can pull using your loadout. Now, this also gives me a little bit of a chance to do kind of a weapon review. You know, I wasn't doing commentaries or anything when this game first came out, so I didn't do a whole lot of weapon reviews on the vanilla guns or anything like that. And I'm not going to do I don't want to say I want to do a complete weapon review on these, but I will go over a few of the things, mostly just exactly what he has in the loadout and whether I actually like it or not. But anyways, this week's loadout is brought to you by Triple Aught, who suggested the AN-94 Cobra red dot sight. Nothing for a second attachment, so I will be using the underslung with nothing on it. The heavy barrel, 44 mag, med pack, and squad sprint. For most of the 5 games that I played, I did play 5 this week instead of 10. For most of the 5 games, I do have a couple friends playing in my squad, so the sprint didn't matter a whole lot, but I usually, typically like to run squad cover as like a mainstay. If somebody else is running cover, I will switch, but cover is the one perk that I always feel like I have to run. And I did mention that I went with 5 games this week as opposed to 10 last week. Neither of the suggestions had a games played in there, and that is something that you guys can put in your loadouts for me. How many games you would like to see me play? It can be anywhere from 1 to 10, or I'm not going to go far beyond that unless there's a really good reason. I will do my best to try and accommodate every winning suggestion, but like I said, there are going to be some kind of limits. But anyways, last week I went with 10 because it was the try hard episode, and I wanted to get a really good baseline that I can compare future episodes with. And you're probably going to hear me compare future episodes or future loadouts with my try hard loadout, just because that makes for good comparisons. You can kind of see the difference that I do, using what I think my favorite kit is compared to what kits you guys suggest me to use. So that is why I went with 10 last week, and that is why I went with 5 this week. Is just because I felt like I got a good enough comparison, and I do get bored using the same gun over and over again. So unless it's for an actual unless somebody actually suggests me to use it for more than 5 games, that is probably going to be the standard that I roll with from now on. Anyways, let's go over a few of these attachments a little more in depth. The Cobra red dot sight is a really good sight. I don't use it often. I prefer the holographic just because the holographic has, a circle. I really like the circle more than, the lines that the Cobra has. But really, I could interchange these, not have any sort of issue. It actually, a little bit that nudges me in the way of the holographic is it just looks nicer sitting on the guns. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but when really there's no difference to me from one or the other, aesthetics can kind of just sway me that little bit. That will force me to use that one instead of the other. But the Cobra, I think, is used probably most by a lot of the competition players, and it's just a really good sight to go with. Basically between the red dot, the Cobra, and the holographic, there's not a huge difference one way or the other. I do believe the holographic has a tiny bit of zoom, which I don't know. I don't really think it makes a difference either. Second attachment was basically the underslung, and that's just because you have to put something on there. I didn't use anything with the underslung, so it's basically just sitting there doing nothing. And the reason Trip wanted me to use that over a foregrip is because the foregrip does kind of increase bullet spread over longer distances a little bit. So with the heavy barrel and the without a foregrip, you actually get some pretty good damage on longer shots. And the AN-94 really reaches out there, especially with the being a 2-round burst. You're already forced to burst at longer ranges. So with this loadout, you can reach out there and get some nice, easier kills at medium to longer ranges. I'm not obviously talking sniper ranges, but longer ranges for a TDM map. And since I already mentioned the heavy barrel, I'm not exactly 100% sure what each of the attachments does for every weapon right now, but I'm pretty sure the heavy barrel increases aimed accuracy and does um, hold your bullet damage out over longer distances, so your damage drop off is less significant if you have the heavy barrel equipped, and that's the main reason why a lot of people are rocking the heavy barrel on almost every one of their ARs now. And that is a damn good reason. The heavy barrel, since they buffed it a couple patches ago, is a really good, you know, really good attachment. Uh, Talk about the 44 mag a little bit. I'm no stranger to this gun, so using that wasn't a big deal to me. It's actually probably my most. I think I have more service stars with the 44 mag than any other handgun. Although lately I do prefer the 1911 just because it's a little more hip fire friendly and a little less annoying once you're suppressed. 44 mag seems to be really, really bad once you get suppressed, as where the 1911 is a little more spammable, you could say. So that is, why I've been using 1911, but 44 mag is pretty badass gun. So using that didn't, really have any effect on me either way. In fact, I think I maybe only got like 8 kills with it over the entire 5 games. Next is the med pack, and I rock the med pack on every one of my assault rifle kits, loadouts, whatever you want to say. I pretty much never use the M320 or the MAS or M26 or any of that stuff unless I'm specifically using that. Sometimes I will run M26 only games or 320 smoke games just for fun, but if I'm actually playing somewhat seriously, I always run medkit, especially in TDM. 320 is a little more useful on Conquest or Rush, or games where you're gonna have transport vehicles. Because the 320 will take out a Vodnik or a Hummer, and also 320 can bring down some rubble to get some nice rubble kills. But for the most part, even on those maps, I always stick with the medpack. Last thing is squad sprint, and I kind of already went over that, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. This is Attack of the Stats, so let's kind of go over the stats. And I did run into a problem this week after my resets and after playing 5 games. My score per minute did not show up. It actually didn't show up until the next day, because I did this on Thursday, I think, and then it didn't show up the next day until I played about 5 more games. So I don't know if we're going to be able to use score per minute consistently, at least for this series. It's not a huge deal, but it would be nice to have it there. So I'll do my best to try and I mean there's nothing I can do, I guess. If it's there, I will use it. If it's not, I can't. So anyways, let's go over the other stats. Win-loss, I went 5-0. Like I said, 4 of the games I had either 1 or 2 friends playing with me, and we pretty much kicked ass the entire 5 games. I'm not sure what the other players were like on the server, but I don't think we really had any problems winning. The 5th game, they actually moved 2 of my friends over to the other side because they said we were doing too well, and I don't mind that. I actually like having closer games a lot of the time. Makes it a little more interesting, a little more fun. But I ended up winning that 5th game as well with my friends on the other team. Gonna go ahead and guess, we just had better players all around. So 5-0 doesn't really mean too much. I did pretty well last week. Anytime I'm gonna be using a assault rifle loadout, I feel pretty confident. Next stat is accuracy, and this week while running the AN-94 over 5 games, I ran a 27.5% accuracy. And compared to last week while running the M416, it's pretty fair to say that using a 2-round burst weapon over a fully auto weapon is the reason why my accuracy is up 2%. The AN-94 is a super accurate gun. Basically any burst weapon you're going to have higher accuracy for the most part, over a non-burst fire weapon, or over a fully automatic weapon, I should say. My lifetime accuracy before I started this was around 23% with the AN-94, 23.5, something like that. It went up over 24%. Like I said, it's the whole burst thing plus playing on
My
TDM
God,
maps
that guy's
where
at like
you're gonna
0%.
see a lot shorter range kills. That is the reason my accuracy is so high. I do think I could maintain somewhere around 26% with this gun if I only played TDM. But if I were to play Conquest and Rush more, I think the accuracy would drop. There's a lot more stuff to deal with in that. But anyways, the last stat we're going to talk about is obviously KDR. And this one, if you were
Oh,
just
it's
to
good. Got it.
compare
It's good.
from last week, you might be surprised a little bit. My KDR is actually up from my tryhard episode on. For this episode, I ran a 3.28 KD over 5 games, whereas last week, using my favorite gun, I ran a 3.19. Now, just looking at the stats, it's a bit surprising, but having actually played through these games, there's a very simple reason why my KD is actually up from last week. Last week, I couldn't buy a revive. I think I went like 3 games in a row without getting revived once, whereas in this week, I actually felt like I was cheating for a little bit. I think I got revived like 7 times in one game. So that is the only reason why my KD's up. There's no way I would maintain a higher KD with this weapon over my M416. Um, if I had to guess, if I got the same amount of revives last week as I did this week, I think my KD would be somewhere in the mid twos, mid to higher twos. But that is the only reason. I wish I could control every variable for these Attack of the Stats episodes, but
Oh,
I
looks
just
like this server
can't.
filled back
There's
up.
always going to be some sort of variable that I have no control over whatsoever. But anyways, that's pretty much all I have for stats. My final assessment of the gun. I really like using this gun, but it will jam from time to time, and that can get you killed. It's just not as reliable as some of the upper tier, fully auto ARs. However, the fun factor is definitely up there. I would recommend using it, just to mess around with. But if you're trying to play, seriously, or trying to put in your best game, I think there are better options out there. That's pretty much all I got for you guys. Remember to leave your loadout and suggestions for me, and be detailed. You guys can pretty much decide every aspect you want me to do for Attack of the Stats. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to y'all later.